Corbin Reinhardt, welcome to Invisible Impact. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Corbin is a professional parkour stunt guy. Did I get that right?
Yes, I am.
Nailed
a stunt
it.
Guy.
Okay, tell us about that. How did you get into being a...
Oh boy, man, I was always a wild kid. So I was always jumping off the walls, getting in the trees and stuff, and it just kind of made sense to kind of get those things put together. And I started doing backflips off of trees, doing stuff like that. And I was a child actor back in the day. So along with parkour coming into my life later on, they kind of meshed, and I became a stunt guy.
So cool.
Yeah.
What is your favorite part about it?
Honestly, I like that it is something that I can mold myself to. I can have some creative... I can use my creative juices and I can make them flow, whereas like in gymnastics, it's a bit more strict, and this makes me feel like I can kind of show who I am through my movement, which is nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
Creativity through body.
Yes.
You don't think of that as much, but that's really, really cool. We're going to dive right into it because we're here to talk about brain injury, concussion. I've the 7,000 questions, so we just got to do it.
Let's do it.
Can you tell us, I know there is a video of your injury that's documented. I know.
I wish there was more of it. I wish I could actually see what happened because I don't remember jack.
Yeah, so you're like, well, I can't tell you what happened. I can tell you what people told me happened.
Yeah, I can tell you what happened in the hospital a week later.
For those who have absolutely no idea what we're talking about, can you give us the rundown a little bit?
Yeah, so my team, Tempest, we were on a tour going across America, and we hit all of these amazing spots in Pennsylvania, all this stuff. We get to Florida. And when we're in Florida, we go to this one gym, and we're just kind of training. It's a good session, actually. And I jump to a bar. I'm trying to swing off the bar to like a ledge or something, just land on it. And my hand slipped, I would assume. I don't remember after I grabbed the bar. I don't remember anything. But it sent me into half a backflip. And I landed on the back of my head on the wooden ledge that I was supposed to land on, and then it folded me over on the other side. So I actually broke my head. I had a brain hemorrhage, and luckily the bleeding wasn't so crazy into the brain. That was a huge thing that the doctors really wanted to hone in on. But that's what happened. That was the whole situation, and I was out for, they tell me, like a minute and a half. You can see in the video, I'm like, I look like a corpse. I'm like, I was completely white all through, just immediately, which was wild to me how the color of your skin can just go so fast. But that was wild.
And when do you remember waking up or realizing like, okay, I had a brain injury? What the heck?
I don't remember anything until the hospital.
Okay.
I do remember the hospital a little bit, but from watching the video, apparently when I woke up, I just wanted to get back up. Like, hey, I'm fine, because that's just that's my personality. Just like I kind of rub some dirt on it. I'm good. But luckily, we had our personal trainer and our I think physical assistant, physical trainer, whatever you want to call him, and he had the knowledge to actually keep my spine intact and not let me move or anything like that. Which made me want to fight him a lot because I wanted to move, I wanted to get up, but he had the right idea.
Obviously, a very serious injury, very scary injury.
Oh man, yeah.
When, and you might not remember this, but can you remember maybe the week later or when you were out of the hospital realizing, oh my gosh, this just happened to me. Like, this is changing my life. This is going to change my life. Do you remember having those thoughts, or it was just like...
Yeah, I do. I don't remember. So I have a very different take on this than I think a lot of people. I knew from the beginning with my sports, I was going to get injured no matter what. I did motocross before this, I still do it. I did parkour, all this stuff, right? And I knew that something was going to be along the lines of, okay, you're doing dangerous stuff, you're going to get hurt at some point. So it was a weird kind of relief when I did get hurt, and I'm not feeling in my head like, oh, it felt like I wasn't paralyzed. It felt like, okay, that's over. Now that I was always kind of anxious about that happening, like, okay, I was going to get hurt. I'm going to get hurt at some point. And then it finally happened. And in this state of not knowing what the injury was, not knowing anything like that, but being okay, kind of gave me some sort of relief at the beginning. And it took people a long time to tell me what my injury was. Because when you're going through that state of, I had paraphasia at the time, so I could not talk. I was speaking gibberish to everybody. So that was kind of the center focus. And I was kind of more like, why is this happening? But getting frustrated with people because I thought I was speaking correctly. And then as the weeks came in, I started to realize how severe it actually was. So right off the bat, it was more so, okay, the injury's out of the way, I'm good. Then it started kind of honing in on, oh, shoot, I can't walk exactly the way that I want to. I can't hear properly. I can't, and that's when things started really feeling heavy.
Those are really, again, the word scary just keeps coming to my mind. Those are really scary symptoms. Let's hone in a little bit on the speech part of it, because I think that's something other people definitely experience in one way or the other.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not as extreme, but in some way. Yeah. What did that feel like? How?
Frustrating. It felt very frustrating. It felt like something was taken away from me. It, especially when you feel so accustomed to your abilities all the time, just even being able to just talk. And then when that is like a light switch just flips off, it's a weird experience. It's more so like, I should have this. You almost feel like the right to have it when you don't. You don't have the right to it. It really is a privilege to be able to have it. I think that's one of the things that really has helped me get through this experience and be much more grateful for my life and much more grateful for what I do. Especially, when something like that happens. I think you only realize when it gets taken away from you how much you really needed it. And trying to talk to my dad flew out immediately. Trying to talk to him was an adventure. They were trying to get me to eat certain food and stuff like that, and I couldn't tell them yes or no. It was all gibberish. And them trying to explain to me what paraphasia even meant. I had no idea.
Yeah, so explain it to us. So it was like you were thinking that you were saying a sentence and words were not happening.
I would be talking to you just like this, and I would actually be saying... Oh,
wow.
Not
did you
as
know
bad,
that's what it sounded like, or did you think the words were coming out?
I thought the words were coming out.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's where the frustration came from, because I thought I was speaking clearly to you. Like, I'm telling you this, and they're saying... Okay, can we... It's like they're just trying to get through to me, right. And I just keep saying the same thing over and over again.
That's horrible. How long did that last?
That lasted, it lasted for months. Not as bad as in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just complete word salad. And then after a couple of months, it would be more so, they said, like, you said something like this. And I would think to myself, well, no, I said this. And it's just, that's something that everybody gets pretty much every day. But I could never trust myself because I knew that I was probably saying it wrong, or I was probably saying the wrong words. But I went through speech therapy and physical therapy for 3 months. And I think the little bit of the paraphasia lasted longer. But I started to get my speech back, which was nice.
Wow. So even in those 3 months, the not being able to trust yourself, that really stuck out to me because that's terrifying.
It sucks.
You were still thinking you were saying something and you didn't know if you were saying it or not?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. It wasn't as bad in the beginning. Like in the beginning, I literally did. It was just gibberish. But I started to hone in on, the right words and hearing it properly and that kind of stuff again. But yeah.
Did you have beyond, once the paraphasia kind of resolved and started to get better, did you have issues finding your words? I know that can be a really challenging thing.
Oh, yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Finding my words has always been a problem for me anyway, but even before the injury. So it was, it never was something that I had to strayed away too far from. But I could never really trust like one word that I was saying. I thought I was saying it right to you or something like that, and it would just be one word out of the sentence, and I miss it. And it's really frustrating because it can change a whole sentence entirely if you miss a certain word. So that would happen continuously, maybe for, say, like 6 months, maybe. And nobody took my phone away from me either, so the texting was gibberish.
Oh, really? It translated that way too.
Oh, yeah. They tried to give me a journal, like a notebook, thinking that I could write. And it was just nothing. It was just complete nothingness. I think I still have the journal somewhere. Probably should have brought it.
Wow.
But I couldn't use that medium. I couldn't use that medium.
You couldn't write. You couldn't type. You couldn't really talk.
Yeah, and I was all on Instagram too.
Express yourself. How did?
I even posted on Instagram. Somehow I had managed that, right?
Okay.
But every one of the captions was just absolute craziness. It just word salad, and. It took my friends a while to actually tell me like the stuff I was texting them, because it was nuts.
Did that turn, because I could imagine not being able to express yourself, not feeling like you can communicate with anybody, kind of put you in a bit of a dark place?
Yeah, I mean, it put me in a very frustrated state, especially with my my core family, with my mom and dad, not being able to communicate with them. Really, it takes a toll on you, especially because I want to show that I really care that he came to Florida, and came to see me and all this stuff, and I can't do that. So, yeah, that took a long time. I think it was my weird anxiety about injuries that relief kind of carried me through this process of just like, hey, it's not worse. You're good. It's not worse. And that kind of helped me out with a lot of different stuff. So I think that was a key element in trying to stay hopeful and stay positive during it. But not being able to talk sucked. That was a hard time in my life, I would say.
Yeah, I can imagine. What other symptoms were really challenging for you after the injury?
Oh, not being able to hear. Yeah, I hit right here. So it actually broke certain pieces of my ear. Even now when I have like headphones in, AirPods, whatever, if it's too loud or there's a certain tone, it's almost like a broken subwoofer. It goes like, and so like that's what I hear on my right side. And if you ever say or anything like that, sometimes I do this so I can hear on my left side more. But it was really, really bad in the beginning, really bad, to the point where I thought I couldn't hear, and I couldn't in my right ear. So I really had to do this a lot of the time. And the worst part about it was the vertigo. So when you lose your sense of hearing on one side, then your sense of balance is just completely off. So I'd be able to like stand up off of a chair and then have to sit back down immediately because I would get dizzy completely. Yeah.
And to go from someone who's doing flips in the air and going all around to not being able to stand up, I can imagine.
That was almost worse than the speaking, because losing your sense of balance kind of loses who I am as a person. If I can't walk, if I can't do things properly, then I can't do anything that I did yesterday, So yeah, that was probably the worst portion, or the most tolling, that I would say on my brain and on how I felt at the time.
Right. Did you feel like you almost had like an identity crisis a little bit?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was the first time I felt disabled. It was the first time that I felt like, okay, this is going to be a serious thing. In the beginning, it was kind of I was up in the air. I didn't really know what was happening. But about a week later, when I started realizing, oh, this is real. This is serious. It's not a dream. Yeah, that's when I got a little bit more serious about it.
And how did you work through that? I'm sure that's not something you do overnight. That's like a years-long process. But for people going through it right now, who might be like, I might not be able to go back to my sport. I might not be able to do the job I used to do. Like, what would you say to them? Like, how'd you do it?
I think it was just more so that hopefulness of the worst thing that I thought could happen has happened. Push that aside, and now that it has happened, and I can still, I'm still here. I'm still around. I think that kind of helped me push myself along. And then it became a challenge. And, me being a parkour guy, challenges are always, they're my thing, right? So that being a challenge now made it almost like okay, what's the high score? I need to be able to walk. Now I need to, how long is this going to take? And it was just kind of the light at the end of the tunnel that really helped me push through. And I know for a lot of people, I've gotten many people telling me stories about how it's taken them years. Mm-hmm. And I feel so lucky with how it took me around like 6 months to really start being able to walk and jump again. But I got really lucky with it. And I think just staying on that path of, okay, I can move this now. Tomorrow I'll be able to move this. Tomorrow, and trying to get my muscles back into shape was a real, that was the toughest part, and the challenge really got me going.
I feel like that's really important wisdom, though. I want to dig into that a little bit more. You're talking about perspective, because I feel like that can sound like such a soft thing, maybe. Like people are like, what can I do to be better? How can I get through this easier? And they want like a medicine or thing to you, and you're saying like actually your mind is so powerful and it's not just like a cheesy thing to say.
No, I mean,
can you talk more about like that?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think it really does kind of go into how you are as a person, and I think if you challenge yourself, it can strengthen your mind in different ways than just your physicality, right? I mean, in terms of, I do trivia all the time just to try to strengthen my brain in a lot of different ways. But when I was presented with the physical challenge of not being able to use my body, it became priority. It became the primary focus on, okay, I need to hone in on this. I need to handle this stat. So I would go into physical therapy. I would push myself really hard to try to get, probably too hard in certain areas. I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this have felt that too, where it's like you try to push yourself so hard so you can get back. But it's a long process, and it's a tough one, especially mentally when it's that long. And there's lots of times where you feel like there's a certain give up point, and it's tough for the physical therapist to tell you that wait, just wait.
Right.
We got to wait for next time. And that's not in my wheelhouse. In my wheelhouse is like, I'm going to keep doing this all night until I can get it right, And that was a struggle. That was the biggest probably, because I'm not good at shutting something off for a second and then coming back.
Right. And I think a lot of people watching this too are athletes, have that same kind of mentality. And it's like,
so
if I could just work a little harder, I can get better faster. But this is actually like, you're going to make yourself worse for longer if you push it.
So many things, especially in physicality in sports. It's like you do need to be there 5 a.m. You hone in. You're doing exactly what you need to do, and you get better at it. And when you face an injury like this, it's really tough to say that that's not going to work. That sort of mentality, the Mamba Kobe mentality, doesn't necessarily work when you are healing. And the healing aspect is the hardest part, because you could push yourself as hard as you can, and it's not exactly like healing like a bruise or something like that. It's invisible. For me, it's my brain. I can't see it. I can't see myself healing. So I just have to trust what the doctors say, trust what the physical therapists say. Obviously, I think a lot of people who are athletes that have gone through this, doctors say, well, you can't do what you were doing again. Sorry, you just can't do it anymore. And that just lights a fire under your butt. It's just like, no, I'm not going to listen to you on that. I'm going to do it again. And that's a huge portion.
Was that your motivation through of like?
Completely.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? When a doctor tells me I can't do something, oh my God. It just, that was the most frustrating thing. And I just knew in myself that I had to work to really be able to do it again.
But that was what you were gaining. You were like, I have to get back.
I'm going to go
do that. Yeah. Okay. There was no part of you that was like, oh, okay, we got to hang this up.
It was part of the reason why I love living. It's part of the reason why I do love living, is because of how I can express myself through movement, through what I enjoy, and having that being taken away from you, it takes a real toll. So I really, that put me in a place where, okay, this is a challenge. I need to just start working.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how were you able to overcome the challenges of the invisible injury part, like you said? Because that's so hard in so many different ways. Like you said, you can't see it, but also no one else can see it.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I would say that's where a lot of the time the support system comes in. I had a lot of friends come over as soon as I got home, and I was just surrounded by them. Weird, because I was still in that kind of up and, kind of feeling dreamy like state. And I'm like, my friends are here. It's amazing. Right. I wasn't thinking about why they're here. And people were crying. I'm like, why are you crying? It didn't make any sense. Then after the months came in, I was like, okay, I understand. I get it now. But having people on your side, having people that are there. The CEO of this company, Tempest, his name's Gabe. And Gabe Nunez, he came over to my house and he would swim with me every morning. So like he would come, just in the pool, and even just like if I'm walking in the shallow end, it didn't matter. As long as I was taking steps forward, it really did help. So yeah, huge shout out to Gabe for helping me through that portion. But I would say, my mom, my dad, the core people being there and seeing the progress, and also just kind of along with yourself saying, oh wow, you're doing this when you couldn't do that yesterday. You couldn't do that, a week ago. That really helps you visualize, okay, even though it's an invisible injury, I can see it through my progression.
Right. Finding those little markers.
Oh my God. Yes, it's huge. Huge.
Did you have a hard time ever just like being in the world and like feeling like you had symptoms but no one can see it?
It felt, I'll be honest with you, in the like the months where I couldn't do parkour or anything like that. Obviously, I couldn't go back to the gym or anything like that. But it felt like a daze. It felt like, like almost like a dream, like state, you know. And my dad would take me out and stuff, and wouldn't be able to talk to anybody. But I would it was almost like being a kid again, you know.
Yep.
Where, you know, luckily I didn't have to change my diaper, but yeah, it's just feeling like you are, you know, juvenile and you're back into that old place where your parents take care of you. And so, yeah, that was a weird area to be in before I could really kind of manage my words again.
Yeah, having somebody.
Oh, yeah.
I had to move back in with my parents too, and I remember
did?
just being that resonates so much. When you say you feel like a kid because you're like,
weird,
I can't,
isn't it?
Really cook. I can't remember. Or you like can, but you can't.
You don't feel like you're supporting anything or helping so much.
Right.
You know?
It's like my job of the day is to take 4 naps.
Exactly. Oh my God, I still do that.
Yeah. Talk about that part, the sleep, because it changes everything.
All my days are siesta. I have siesta. I have like get up in the morning, do something, need to nap. Mm-hmm. And that was the one thing that the doctors told me that really stayed consistent. I need to nap a lot. Because I guess we just need more rest to be able to, you know, manage the power to go through the day. Some days I can push through, but for the most part, it does help me out a lot. And, you know, I'm just a nap kind of guy anyway. But yeah, that was huge. Like you were saying in the beginning, it was a lot. Like I had to sleep so much to be able to even generate any power to try to, you know, walk properly or try to get into these areas. They gave me a walker when I was in the hospital. So that was kind of the thing, and I couldn't stand up for very long. Getting on the airplane back home, that was a real tough part because I had to walk and then sit down, and then walk and sit down. So getting to the gate, you know, made me hate airports for a second. But yeah, it was a tough thing with my dad too.
That physical part, because no one brain injury is the same. You know, everyone has a different experience, but a lot of the conversations we've had have been more.
Yeah.
And I don't want to use the word mild, but concussion, like you had a very traumatic brain hemorrhage, you know, that.
Definitely.
So I just am like stunned hearing like the physical part, but then also knowing what your brain was up against and all the cognitive and the sleep and that it's just like, too. Corbin. Oh, yeah. So I just don't know.
I think that was one of the things that I really felt very lucky on was the brain hemorrhage wasn't so severe that they had to actually take off the people in my school. So I felt very, okay, I didn't have to do that. And so that made me feel like, okay, I just dodged a bullet. Even though it was very traumatic, even though it was very harsh, I was trying to see the glass half full. But yeah, that was the major point, I think, of hope.
Yeah, and I'm getting that from you, and you've kind of hinted at it, but like this is also going to sound cheesy, but having that like attitude of gratitude sounds like that was like
it's huge.
Keeping you going.
It's a huge portion. I think gratitude is immense just in day-to-day life, even if you're not going through an injury of any sort of thing. I think just having gratitude towards something or just be able to be living, it's for people who've gotten concussions, it's in the forefront of your brain because you've had to go through what it's like when you don't have it. So the gratitude is visual and it's and you feel it. But I think that's a huge piece of just getting hope on your side is to be grateful for what you have right after.
Yeah, and I love that you're using the word hope because that's what we try to encourage so much for people of like you have to have hope. And a part of this conversation is giving people hope. They can see you and be like, he got through it.
Yeah,
I can get through it.
Exactly. Yeah. And the great thing about it too is that Sydney, you know, my teammate, she's been through it as well. So she's been able to help me through a lot of different stuff. And, you know, parkour, multiple people have gotten concussions. So many of my teammates. So I've had a lot of people around me kind of in a weird support system of, you know, that have gone through that sort of thing, even though mine was really bad. They really helped me with saying, okay, this is what might happen. This is what, you know, probably will. And yeah, I was able to walk through that.
And what would you just say to somebody watching who's like, hey, I don't like every way that I used to cope with life has been taken away from me, right? Like for some people, it's like exercise gives me a headache, being social gives me a headache, and you just like, what would you say to them as your message of hope of like, you can get through this?
I would say that it allows you to take a step back and have perspective on what is important to you in life. And at least for me, I know I would like to think for many people, your family, your core family, and just being able to be around them is very important. And, especially because I was in Florida, it made me realize like, oh, I'm on the other side of the country, and it was nice to be able to come back home and just appreciate that. So I would say that's kind of the first start of hope, is being with people that I really, not necessarily took for granted, but it was nice to feel at home. It was nice to have that home feeling, and that kind of made a breeding ground of, okay, I can start again. I can go from this. And along with it are alternatives too. Like, obviously trying to play video games again, my parents tried to get me back into like guitar lessons, stuff like that. Oh my God, trying to move my fingers. It was a nightmare, but it was nice having all these different things that, okay, can't do this, let's try this. Can't do that, let's try this. And it can work on a big scale, it can work on a very small scale, whether it's literally trying an instrument or just playing video games.
I love that. Like find something to bring you a little bit of joy.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes even the brain games that were stressful sometimes, because I had to do it for speech therapy. But even the brain games I really enjoyed doing, just to kind of get a little bit better every time.
Right. And find a way to have some achievement too. Like,
exactly.
I did it.
Oh, you need those markers. You need those little pieces of like, okay, I'm going somewhere, versus, just kind of feeling like you're going to stay in a certain place forever. There's lots of ways of getting better.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good reminder for people. It's not going to stay that way forever. Even if it takes years, like you are going to get better.
Definitely. Yeah.
If you're looking for resources like education to help you understand what you're going through, doctor recommendations, maybe some physical therapists or vision therapists in your area, peer support to connect with someone who's been through persistent post-concussion symptoms, there's an incredible free resource that I would really love for you to check out. It's a helpline that's linked right below. You fill out a form on the website, and a member of our care team will be in touch within 2 days to learn more about you, what you've been going through, and how we can get you the help you deserve.
Like, how was your memory impacted? Is it still impacted? Like, what sort of things do you still maybe live with today?
So the memory is still a little, not like fuzzy, but on certain words, like we were talking about, in terms of trying to find a word is very tough for me. Oh my God, the best thing ever when I don't remember somebody's name. Sorry, I broke my head. That's the best excuse you could ever have. So anybody who's watching it, that you're going to always have that excuse, because everybody goes through it, but we have that ability to say, oh, sorry, broke my
brain
head.
Injury.
Exactly. Sorry, brain injury, give me a break. So that was nice. But in terms of the lasting effects, my hearing is still something that affects me. We did try to do steroids for it for a minute, and then I got acne all through. It's like, that's worse than my ear. I don't want this. So got off the steroids, and luckily the ear started getting better. It was 20% off the bat. So right after the injury, I could only hear about 20% of my right ear, and the difference between 20% and having 100% on the other side is just, it's wild. It's a wild feeling. It doesn't feel right. So now it's about 80 on my right side. That the symptoms for that, for some reason, the hearing just really got me. It was,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
that's a major change.
It was a huge change. Yeah, because I love music. I love so many things that involve hearing, and that really took me by surprise. That was a big shock. In terms of those symptoms, other than that, not being able to control my feet the way that I wanted to sucked. That was terrible. Immediately into physical therapy. We got into walking and stuff like that. And as time went on, we started doing the ladder that you do for football, where you try to put both feet in, both feet out, both feet in, both feet out. That, I wanted to kill somebody. That made me so trying to get this when your brain is saying this, but your feet are doing something completely different. that was one of the symptoms that I hated. It really took me back, and then took a minute to get back into getting that together. And it's a very weird thing. You could learn something new, and I don't know, like let's say I've been trying to learn jet skiing, right? It's completely different dynamic than bicycle riding or motorcycle riding, right? So I'm kind of like feeling it out. Well, now when you're walking again, trying to figure out your brain to your feet, trying to figure out how to get your brain to start working to your feet, is a completely different thing. I never ever thought that it would be so like on the nose of just like how do I do this? How do I connect my brain to my feet? And yeah, there was no real legs for dummies or anything like that.
How do you do it?
Exactly.
No, truly, like
it was just work. It was literally just work and trying. It's almost like trying to lift a finger. If you can't do it, then it really puts you back on who can explain how to do that?
Right.
It's a muscle, and it's whereas in sports, your muscles, you're just not using them right. With this, you don't even know how to control a muscle. And that is one of the worst areas. Hard to kind of get into words on that one, but
sure.
Yeah.
No, I think you did a great job. Is that still a challenge today, or?
Not as much. It after the physical therapy with my feet, I started getting back into it more so. And the tough part was in parkour. We do things all the time, repetitious, do it like a flip or something like that. Not being able to use my feet the correct way really was hard for muscle memory. Because when you have muscle memory, you do things over and over again. Even when you're not thinking about it, you're on autopilot and your muscles will do it. With this, when I couldn't use my muscles the same way, that was one of the toughest things to be able to get back into muscle memory, to get my muscles back into shape, to be able to say, oh, hey, you remember this. You remember what that was like. Okay, let's do it again.
Did that bring a whole new level, or not like there was ever a level, but did that make you fearful to go back to flipping and parkour and all the things because you couldn't maybe trust your legs to do what you wanted them to do?
I think more so it was not being able to trust myself. And that was a huge aspect of it, because how could I trust myself after I let myself, fall and slip? And I was completely fine. I was literally at the top of my game, and I let myself fall severely. So it's hard to trust yourself in that aspect, just in general. So not necessarily like just like, trying to move my feet again or anything like that. It's like, if I was completely fine and I let myself do this, how can I trust myself when I'm weaker? That even today when I'm on bars, I need chalk up the wazoo so I can have some more traction on my hands, and stuff like that. There's certain stuff that I'm a little bit more fearful of. But as soon as I was able to kind of get back into the gym really early, people told me way too early, like two weeks after the injury, there was an event. There was an event at Tempest. I was not going to be there. It was a big event. It was a big team that came. So I was like, I have to go at least see it. And Sydney had to hold me to not like try to.
Okay, I'm like, please don't tell me you competed.
No, I didn't compete.
Okay.
But I was trying to jump on the trampoline and trying to flip and doing stuff like that. Some muscle memory kicked in, but I couldn't do stuff on hard ground and stuff like that. But certain stuff did happen. And then obviously after one jump or one flip, I was completely dazed. I was like, thank God for Sydney and my teammate. Thank you, Sydney, for holding me and telling me, you stop, because obviously I'm trying to get back into. I was trying to get back into, who I was, who I was right before the injury, and that's a hard thing to let go of trying to be exactly where you were yesterday, the week before.
That's a great point that you bring up, because I hear that a lot of people saying like, how long did it take you to get back to your old self? There was a point when I stopped using that as my metric. I'm like, we're not trying to be my old self. I'm just trying to be. You're not. What was that for you?
Yeah, for me it was. I immediately got back into the first thing that I did was bars as soon as I got back to the gym. So I would say like even during physical therapy, I went back to the gym. It's crazy. I couldn't use my feet very well, but I could use my arms, right? So like I was doing the swings, and in my head it was, this is what you failed yourself on, this is what you need to start on. This is what you need to do the most in order to not fail at it in the future. So even when my feet weren't correct, I was still back on the bars, and I needed to get some sort of comfortability back to that. But yeah, there was a certain sense of I'm never going to be as comfortable as I used to be, and carrying that is a tough thing. It's tough to trust yourself again. And that's a whole nother level. You know, you could do speech therapy, you could do physical therapy, but you're not going to trust yourself when you were, you know, we were at professional status of parkour. It's like, how can I trust myself at stuff that a lot of people can't do, you know? So yeah, that was a journey on trying to get back to that. And it's being a new person, and it's a new sense of gratitude, I would say. That gratitude allows you to do things over and over and over and over again, because I'm not going to let it happen again. I'm not going to let myself, you know, fall and hit my head the way that I used to. So I needed some sort of mentality to repetition. I needed that.
Yeah. And how did you find a way to like kind of be okay with that new version of you too, and let go of like, I don't have to be the exact same way I was.
Yeah.
Accepting like this huge thing happened to you.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's going to sound cheesy, but chicks dig scars. So it was one of those things where it's like, well, now I have a story. You know, now at least there's something, you know, interesting about me, right? And as cheesy as that is, it allows you to have more gratitude for life, and allows you to feel like what you did was something that not many people go through. You know, not many people experience this. And so that is a huge, what should I call it? A huge core memory, monumental event in your life. And so I think just having that, like, okay, you've had your monumental event. It's not going to happen again. You're better for it. We're moving on. I think that was kind of that was my outlook on things. And I think that really helped me go from, this is who you were. Monumental event happened. This is who you're going to be. And it allowed me to kind of, the dichotomy of being two different people, you know, and two different ways of going about things, I would say.
Do you feel like you had a new sense of like resiliency? Like,
yeah, definitely. It was more so that okay, if that happened, then I need to push and move on. And that resiliency coming through the gratitude of it being such a huge event, it really helped me slingshot into hope, I should say.
Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we didn't say this in the beginning. When was this? What
yeah,
year
this happened in July of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
important for people to be like, wait a second, was this last
yeah.
year? Was this what?
No, this
where are we at, Corbin?
Back. Yeah, this is damn. Now I'm thinking about it. It's over. What, 7? I'm terrible with math anyway.
No, but I mean,
yeah, long time ago.
It takes time.
Oh, it takes a lot of time, and even doing parkour now and everything like that, it's interesting to even just saying it now, how long it's been and how that distance between where I was and where I am now, and now I'm better than I was before.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Explain that.
Oh, it's just, I think I used to have more of a sense of I can send something, throw kind of balls to the wall at something, and it would stick. Whereas now I am much more cautious, and I need to figure movements out piece by piece. Whereas I used to be a little bit more natural with it, and I could just, you know, I'll do something. I'll just jump right into it. And I need to have more of a process now. And because of that, it has evolved my sense of my body and my game in parkour. You know, it's evolved a lot more. So yeah, that's helped me out a lot.
I think that's so hopeful just in itself, that you can be like, I'm actually better than I was before this brain injury.
Yeah, I'm doing a video right now. It hasn't come out yet, but it will sometime.
We'll link
soon.
it.
Yeah, maybe. It's been like on the years, but it's really proving this whole video that I'm gonna be putting out is kind of proving to myself that something really bad happened to you and you were able to push through it, and now you're better for it. So that's kind of what this video is all about. And I'm trying to, everything in the video is scary to me. So I'm just like, I'm going through it, but yeah, it's going to be awesome.
That's really cool. And
good thing for me.
And so inspiring, I think, for people to see that that's even possible of like, A, you can get back to what you love, and B, you can even be better at it.
Yes. I mean, it's a long road, but as long as you
not easy.
Stick to it. And the thing that's the really tough part is there's a lot of people that the road is so much longer. And that's where the hope begins to dwindle. And I've seen it around, many stories around me, especially through my Instagram and through different places, like people who've gone through very similar stuff to me. And so it's made me very grateful for being able to do that and being able to push on from it.
What else? You talked about, obviously, this perspective, this positivity, your resilient spirit. Like, what else helped you?
Ooh. I think eagerness to be back in society. I think eagerness to be back to communicate again, back to be a person, because I think it sends you into a weird place when you can't talk. Sends you into a weird place when you can't move. You don't feel like a person as much anymore. There's certain things that you need to do to be, even just communication. That's an essential piece of being a part of a society, of being part of being a friend to somebody. How can you be a friend to somebody if you can't listen to them and you can't communicate with them? So I think the eagerness to do that, the eagerness to get better at that and become a person again, really put me into this road on getting back.
Yeah. It sounds like you had this like fire in you that you were like, no matter what, like.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. It's like I wasn't stopping. I wasn't stopping no matter what it was. And yeah, I mean, essentially, like, I felt like giving up at that time was giving up on life. It was kind of giving up on who you are as a person, and I wasn't about to do that. Yeah, it wasn't the time.
Did you ever have a lot of people, just by nature of the symptoms, struggle with like social isolation and like having some of that? Because it's like I genuinely cannot show up for my friends. I can't be in a physical outside space. Did you ever struggle with any of that?
I was I think my family too was very good at keeping it playful. Like, oh, look, you can't do this or something like that. And being able to laugh at it was big for me, because if I wasn't laughing at it, I'd be crying over it, right? So I think keeping things light was essential. So I tried to stay with friends. I tried to, communicate with friends, and, we would laugh about if I said certain things wrong, or if it was just literally gibberish, we would try to laugh about it. And I think that just that positive atmosphere helps you push through the really bad parts. That's a tough area, and it really is tough. I mean, not being able to be going to the swimming pool with Gabe and not being able to do certain things properly, or talk to him, it's only thing you could do is laugh or cry. And I'm glad that we were laughing. What happened to yours in terms of your brain? How did that happen?
How did I get the injury?
Yeah, did you get the injury?
That's embarrassing. I literally just hit my head on a counter.
On a counter?
Was underneath it, tying my shoes to go on a run, and stood up
Bang.
and slammed the back
of your head.
Yeah, back of my head.
Okay, so both of us, back of our head.
Yeah, back of the head. So I didn't have any bleeding. I didn't black out. So I'd had a bunch of concussions before.
Conscious. Okay.
Playing soccer. So I was like, oh, I'm fine. Whatever. Like, no big deal.
Yeah.
Went to work the next day and was like, really stimulating. I was a TV news producer. So it was like,
oh, man.
And I just pushed it really hard and then just like blacked out. When I
wow.
woke up at the hospital and I was like, wait a second.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And yeah, it took me years.
Did you still have memory of that day when you were there, or was it more so?
A little bit, but it woke up and was like, this is the worst headache of my entire life. And it's not just a normal headache. Like, it is the absolute worst headache. And it just didn't go away for like 3 years. So
I've forgotten about that. I've forgotten about how bad the headaches were. It was.
I was going to ask you, because I was like, you're mentioning headaches. I guess he didn't have that, but you would have had
Oh, no. Yeah. No, you're bringing me back to a lot of different stuff. I forgot in the hospital Well, obviously I just broke my head, so it was
Oh yeah, you had a lot.
hurt. It hurt
going on.
anyway, but the migraines, I remember now like how bad some of the headaches were. And they kind of like sometimes they come on and off, and yeah. Yeah,
Still.
weird. I forgotten about that. Not so much anymore.
Wow.
It kind of phased out after around like 6-7 months.
Wow.
I would say, but yeah, I think that the headaches were really prevalent in the beginning.
It's just an added layer.
Yeah.
That just makes everything more gnarly, I feel like, because you're like, okay, I'm trying to navigate all these other things.
Exactly.
And then I just have this nagging pain
consistently
at all times.
Oh, no.
And that's another big part of the invisible that like people are like, yeah, you look fine.
Yeah.
And you're like,
exactly.
my head hurts super bad.
You
I'm
don't
kind of going to puke.
get
For you, you're like,
Yes.
I'm not going to walk in a straight
the
line
puking.
and I can't talk.
Yes, I think puking was huge. Throwing up was major in the hospital,
Really?
not as much afterward.
Yeah. Are there any little strategies or things that you do in your daily life, maybe before or still, that just kind of help compensate for some of
Yeah, I mean, especially with a major one was my hearing. So a lot of the time I would try not to do this so much. I would try not to lean into banking on my left ear a lot of the time. So I would really try to listen to music or kind of a certain form of therapy to try to do it towards my right side. So there were certain little tiny things that I would try to do to amplify a certain section. And who knows, maybe that helped a little bit. I'm still like 80%. Even now when I pop my ear, doing that, I still feel it in my right ear. Just that's not going to go away. It's hard to realize certain things are just not going to go away.
Right.
Yeah. So that there's certain strategies that I think helped out a lot. The steroids for my ear, maybe they helped. I'm not exactly sure. We were doing, ear tests during that time and I wasn't doing much better. So maybe it was just over time that they got better, but little tiny things like that. I think brain games, I think little strategies. I still do it more than ever today. Cause I don't think that's something to give up on, just that those little strategies and trying to get your brain better than it was in the beginning, but even now, even better than yesterday. So I think that those little tiny things do make a difference in the long run.
Right. Yeah. And accepting, like you said, like maybe I am going to have a hard time remembering, so I'm going to write it down.
Exactly.
Or let's not make it harder on ourselves.
Yes.
Let's take the nap when we can tell that we really need to take the nap.
Oh, yes. Completely. And yeah, writing things down, I think I didn't tell you this part, but in speech therapy, the first few days, she was giving me a clock. And so you fill in a clock, right? And
I've had it.
You remember that, right? And so what I was trying to explain to her in my gibberish form was that, I'm a millennial. We don't use these clocks. And how am I supposed to know?
Okay?
Yeah, how am I supposed? We use digital clocks. I look at my, and at the same time, my numbers are outside of the circle and they're like in the corner. And it's just like, all right, I found it funny that I was still trying to debate that millennials, we don't get this stuff. There's not like the back of my hand and completely not even on the clock. Wild, but yeah, that was probably the most interesting part of speech therapy.
But then how cool now that you can look back and be like, yeah, I could do that in my sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't know about in my sleep. Still, if somebody says 6 o'clock, I'm like, okay, now I remember where it is.
That is rough. I remember being in a doctor's office and him being like, okay, so where's 3? And I'm like
exactly.
sweating. I'm like, wait a second. Am I thinking too hard? Do I actually not know this? It's like, where is it? I don't know.
Oh, the memory aspect of speech therapy was the worst. We would do my worst part of anything was memory retention. So I had like almost short-term memory loss. I mean, I could remember like your name or stuff like that. But when I was reading a paragraph, at the end of the paragraph, I would not be able to remember the top part. So that was consistent. I wouldn't be able to remember any sort of, the comprehension was just out the window, which already, even before the injury, my comprehension was not the best, but just not remembering a sentence, or the beginning of a sentence after I read it. that was a real eye opener for me.
Did that feel discouraging, or what did that feel like to know?
Yeah, that was terrible. That felt like not even 2 steps back. That felt like a mile back, because this is the type of stuff that you get back in elementary school, just certain basic reading comprehension. And I had a very nice speech therapist, and so we really worked on it over and over and over again. And I was the type of person that was like, give me that exercise again. I need to do it again. But just slowing my roll and slowing the pace down really did help. And overall back after, I did like 3 months of that speech therapy, but then carrying on by myself, and I still had the books and everything like that I would try to write in. That really helped a lot.
You were a good patient. It sounds like you actually did the homework and did the stuff.
Yeah.
Good job.
The jokes didn't work very well. I usually make a lot of jokes, and I'm pretty sure the punchlines were completely out of whack. I don't know about that, but yeah. I think I was a pretty good patient, and more so just being eager. I think for a lot of people who are do speech therapy and physical therapy, they probably have a lot of people really frustrated. Frustrated. They didn't have what they had before, and it was a weird mindset change, but I think it was more of a hopeful and the gratitude sort of aspect of eagerness, and I think that really helped them.
I love that. Themselves. What finally would be I know we kind of touched on this with like that hope message, but like your advice to someone else watching this who might be feeling like, I'm actually never going to get better and this is too hard. This is just too hard. Essentially.
I think if you put yourself in that state of it's never going to get better, you're not going to get better, you're going to stay there. That's just how it is. It's how the brain's going to work. I feel like if you give up on yourself, then you're just giving up. It takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of strength to be able to say, I'm not going to stay where I am right now. And I think that is something that it takes willpower, and it takes having to see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. So whatever that light might be, for me it was literally, okay, I'm going to move my foot this way tomorrow. I'm going to get my muscles back into shape, just some sort of light at the end of the tunnel creates a challenge, creates a narrative of I'm going to get better. And I think your brain will do what you tell it to. And if you're telling yourself, man, this is too much, then your brain's going to give up. And if you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to get better, you're going to get better.
Love it.
Yeah. That's what helped me.
No, I love it. Sounds like I could see it doesn't sound simple. It sounds hard to do.
It's tough. Yeah.
But it's
works. Simple in reasoning. It's tough in practice.
Right.
Really tough in practice. Because, when I can't make my legs work, there's a real tough separation of I'm going to make my legs work. Nobody can tell you that you can. Nobody can tell you that it's going to happen, but just in yourself, that willpower to say that you are going to do it. It changes the framing. 100% of the time, it will make a difference, especially when you feel like you are going to get better at something, whether it's physical, whether it's anything. Just the idea, I will get better. I think there's always going to be something down the road that will get better, no matter what, on your journey.
I love it. Corbin, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
of course.
You being here.
And thank you for bringing me over, and this is fun.